Usually when you look at a diagnosis, you expect some kind of precision. Like you break an arm, the x-ray shows a jagged white line, the doctor just points and says, yep, there it is.
Right. It's a simple binary. It's either broken or it's not.
Exactly. It's visible. But looking through our lore documents today on Damon Hawkins, the man who eventually becomes the cyborg Kron in that x-ray machine is completely useless.
Oh, absolutely.
We're not looking at a standard medical timeline here. We are looking at a diagnostic landscape dictated entirely by poetic irony.
Yeah, that's the best way to describe it. I mean, you already know the basics of his transformation, but when you really map out the timeline, the sheer scale of the irony is just staggering.
It really is. Okay, let's unpack this. So Damon was a top-tier lawyer for the Zenith Elite, right? The infamous devil's advocate for megacorps like Sasota, Nanoverse, and United.
Yep, the worst of the worst.
But reading his background, something just feels off. I mean, he was raised by environmental NGO lawyers. He could have easily been this huge crusader for the planet.
You think so, yeah.
Instead, he brokers this massive corporate deal that directly wipes out 5 animal species.
And he didn't even blink, just business as usual.
Right. Which makes me wonder, was it purely about the money? Or, I don't know, was it the thrill of defeating his own parents' ideals?
That's a really interesting point.
Because you don't deliberately orchestrate ecological collapse just to pad a bank account. It feels more like a guy who, locks everyone in a burning building just to prove he holds the only key to the fire escape. You know, like a corporate shark selling off the ocean's water just to show he rules the reef.
That is a great analogy. And what's fascinating here is that the documents suggest his core drive really wasn't wealth at all. It wasn't even about rebelling against his parents.
Wait, really? Then what was it?
It was absolute control. He just needed to be the one operating the levers of life, death, and commerce.
Wow.
But that exact obsession with control is what completely blinded him to his own vulnerability.
Which brings us to his sudden collapse at age 31.
Right.
He gets diagnosed with bacteria. No, we all know bacteria is that brutal terminal blood disease in this universe.
Yeah, it's a death sentence.
But what strikes me is the origin. The lore clearly states this disease was engineered by Sasota and the other core he defended, like specifically designed for population control and pharmaceutical profit.
It was a product, and it was working exactly as designed.
But hang on, this is what trips me up. If Damon is their golden goose, the guy keeping them legally untouchable, why not just quietly cure him? I mean, why throw him away?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, you have to remember that in the systems Damon helped build, loyalty just doesn't exist.
Right, it's all transactional.
Exactly. There is only utility and liability. The second his diagnosis threatened their PR, or even just his cognitive sharpness, the corporate algorithm deemed him defective.
So they just cut him loose.
Worse than that, his elite clients didn't just fire him, they shipped him off to Refugio Ren 10, an internment camp, to be used as a disposable lab rat.
Wow. He spent his entire life shielding this corporate meat grinder, only to act surprised when it finally pulled him in.
Yeah, and to survive that grinder, he has to completely surrender whatever humanity he has left. He's eventually rescued by underworld mercenaries, but the physical cost of that rescue is massive.
Because they install the S-Nova device, right?
Yeah.
And reinforce his insides with nanometal.
Yeah.
You know, I've read about the S-Nova in these files, but I've never fully understood the actual mechanics of it because bacteria constantly devour the host's blood. So how exactly does cramming a machine into his stomach keep him alive?
So think of the S-Nova not as a cure, but as a high-speed industrial refinery.
Okay.
The bacteria is eating his blood way faster than his marrow can produce it, which causes rapid organ failure. So the S-Nova bypasses his natural biological functions entirely.
Oh, I see.
It forcefully pumps and filters the external blood he consumes, that huge 30-liter tank he carries on his back, directly into his nanometal-reinforced organs.
Wait, so it just constantly flushes the system?
Exactly. It flushes everything, so the bacteria feed on the imported blood rather than his own tissues.
Man. So the bacteria are still in there, eating, but the S-Nova acts like a decoy feeding trough. It constantly resupplies the blood before his organs can shut down.
Precisely. Which means he has to literally drink human blood to keep the machine running.
So what does this all mean? The metaphorical corporate bloodsucker was forced to become a literal blood-sucking cyborg just to survive.
It's the ultimate physical manifestation of his career.
And plus, to get this S-Nova tech, he had to sell himself to the underworld boss known as the Father. Like he traded his ultimate obsession, his autonomy and control, to become someone else's property.
It perfectly mirrors the life he lived. He orchestrated extinction, he thrived on exploitation, only to be completely consumed by the very same mechanics. His karma perfectly matched his crimes.
It really did. Which leads you with something to really chew on. If you dedicate your life to building systems of absolute control and exploitation,
Yeah.
is it inevitable that you eventually become the prey of your own creations?
That's the real question.
Think about that the next time you look at a diagnosis. Sometimes, the most fatal condition isn't biological at all. It's the architecture you built around yourself.